C84 Brew Company, Santa's Tipple.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. Today is another one for the Christmas beers, and it is from the People's Republic of Yorkshire again, and it is the C84 Santa's Tipple. Now, I ain't going to lie to you, I bought this the other day and I didn't review it because it was a strange one. I just really fancied a beer, but I just didn't fancy reviewing it. Now, I do a bit of research before I review a beer, and I just, I have to analyse it, savour the flavour, try and give my impression of it, try and describe the flavours. I wouldn't say it's hard work, put it that way. But the other night, I just really fancied a beer. Now, I got some of these for a mate of mine in Germany. He's asked me to get him a load of Christmas beers, English Christmas beers. So this was one of them, got them from the House of Trembling Madness. But by accident, I'd ordered two. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to dive into that and see how it goes. I really didn't have high hopes for it, but I just thought I'll give it a go. I was absolutely blown away by it. So there you go, there's the verdict of it. But it's interesting for the ingredient, or one of the ingredients that's in here. Now, the C84 Brewery, otherwise known as the Great Yorkshire Brewery, they've been going quite a while. That's Percy, by the way. He's in here, he's in the doghouse. He's jumped all over the stepdaughter's presents and he shat in the bathroom. So he's been banished here with me. I don't know why I'm banished here as well. I didn't shit in the bathroom or stand in her presents, but he's in here with me. Anyway, one of the ingredients in here is quite interesting, and I want to elaborate on that more so than the beer. Obviously, C84 are a brewery from Yorkshire. I've reviewed a lot of their beers before. Very good brewery indeed. They used to be the Cropton Brewery, and they've morphed into this now. But I reviewed the Yorkshire Lager on the channel, and that was really good. In fact, it was so good, it's up there with one of the best UK lagers, in my opinion. Really did enjoy that. I've got some of that for me mate as well. I'm trying to spread the word about all these good English brewers. And I got him this one as well. And I know it's going to be good because this brewery, I don't think I've had a bad one from them. Their porter was very nice. The Cropton Moor was absolutely superb. One of the best beers I've tasted in a long, long time. And this, it really did blow me away. Now, I've just reviewed the Great Newsome Winter Warmth, and it was a reasonably good best bitter. They called it a ruby ale, and it was being touted as a winter ale. Didn't really put me in mind of winter or Christmas. Believe me, it's fucking taters out there now, so this is the right time to be drinking this. This, on the other hand, complete opposite. This is everything you would expect from a winter warmer stroke old ale stroke Christmas beer. And one of the reasons for that is the ingredients, and the ingredients in here contain spices, and one of the spices that's in here is called star anise. Now, I don't know if you've heard of that before, but I'll quickly give you a description of what that is. It is a spice that comes from a tree, believe it or not, and it's a substitute, or used as a substitute, for aniseed. But it also comes in oil form as well. So I'm not sure if they use the oil in here, but it's very fragrant. Obviously, aniseed is quite a strong spice, and it's used in various liquors, or liqueurs, I should say liquors. Very reminds me of that the Maclade song. Can you hold your liquor? Yeah, I'll hold it by the ears. Anyway, let's move along from that cul-de-sac. It's used in quite a few of the liqueurs that are out there, notably Ouzo is probably the most well-known one. Obviously Pernod, you get it in there as well. Pernod, fucking hell, what a disgusting pile of shit that stuff is. But you also find it in something called Galliano. Now Galliano actually does use the star anise spice in there. Would it be a spice? I suppose it would be a spice, wouldn't it? Or is it a fruit? I don't know. Aniseed. What is it? A spice. I'm assuming it's a spice. But they use that in there as well. But the reason I think the C84 brewery have put that in there is there is a recipe for French mulled wine. Now, if there is everything wrong about a phrase, French mulled wine is it. But it does contain this star anise, and I'm wondering whether that's the reason they put it in here. Now, I'm not a fan of mulled wine. My missus loves it. I've had a couple of tastes, or they call it glue wine if you're from Germany. It's basically warmed up wine. It's fucking horrible. My missus loves it, and I've had a couple of mouthfuls, couple of tastes of it. Yeah, disgusting. Fucking bag ladies period. That's what that is. But I think that's the reason they put it in there. And obviously mulled wine does contain spices, so that's sort of festive, if you know what I mean. And this has got it all. And as I said, I've tried it before and it's really good. It does put me in mind of an old ale. It is dark. It is reasonably high ABV. It's 6%. That's a good ABV for an old ale or a winter warmer. The terms are interchangeable. They're very similar style beers. And it comes from a good brewery. I'm not going to go into the history of the brewery because I've done it before on the channel. If you want to look up the C84 lager, that was a very good lager indeed. I really do recommend that. If you want a really good English lager, that's one to try along with the Sam Smith's lager. If you've got any concerns about the ethics of the Samuel Smith's brewery, and I know some people do have, about their employment rights, about the way they run their pubs and the way they treat their landlords, etc. I don't condone it actually. I wouldn't say it's as bad as Brewdog, or is it? Well, it's probably on a par with Brewdog. The thing is, the difference is Brewdog brew shit beer, in my opinion. Samuel Smith's brew very good beer, so there's no reason for them to treat their staff like that. I think it's absolutely disgusting, and I have heard that firsthand from a landlady who was up to recently a landlady in what was the pub? It was up in London. Name escapes me. Down a side street. She was running that and telling me how bad they treat their staff. Every penny has to be accounted for, even if there's any mismatch or anything short until it comes out of the wages. It was pretty lousy from what she was saying. But they were moving. The pub had been taken over by another brewery, so they were going. Hopefully they found somewhere else now with a little less nasty employers. But there you go. What was my point? I can't remember. I've gone all completely off on a tangent. This happens. I completely lost my train of thought. There you go. Let's go on to the beer. Let's stop waffling. Right, 500ml bottle, 6% ABV. Santa's Tipple. They've not said what it is, the description, but on the back it says a dark, warming winter beer with chocolate, orange and star anise. That's what I've just been talking about. Interesting fact about star anise. If you've ever heard of the flu medication Tamiflu, star anise is one of the ingredients, quite a big ingredient as well. And I'm not going to go into the subject of medication and the pharmaceutical companies and their ethics. Honestly, I could do a whole video about it, but this is not the time or the place. But the point I'm trying to make is, for almost all medications, there is a herbal equivalent, and a lot of these medications that you see are derived or do contain these herbal remedies. So there is a lot to herbs and how the human race has evolved to use these herbs for their own benefit. And of course the pharmaceutical companies have come along and just basically put a lot of this in pill form with a lot of fillers and stuff and charge you the earth for it. I mean, we're not too bad over here in the UK, but when you go to America, yeah, that's a completely different story. I'm not going to get onto the subject of the American pharmaceutical companies. I'm here to review this beer, so that is what I'm going to do. It says it's got bit orange and Star Anise. Keep cool and refrigerated. Now that's unusual because I've not put this in the fridge because I want to get the aromas, but the one that I did have before was in the fridge. I drank it cold and it was just full of flavour, so maybe there is something to it as well. But it has been kept cool. It's quite cold out there, and I got it delivered from the House of Trembling Madness, and it came off the van, and it's quite cold, and it's about slightly below room temperature, so it's got a little tiny chill on it, but it's about the right temperature in my opinion. So let's get it open and let's see what's going on. Now, as I said, I'm not going to lie to you, I have tried this before and it really impressed me, but I want to revisit it because I want to analyse it a bit more. Before I was just necking it. Well, I wasn't necking it, that's the whole point of it. I will get onto that in a bit. Cap is just plain black, nothing to see there. That is going to go in there. Let's get it into ye oldie glass. Now, as I say, I've just reviewed the Great Newsom Winter Warmth. As a winter ale, not great. As a best bitter, not bad. That got 7.5 out of 10. Now I'm just going to attempt to give you the aromas on this, and there were a lot of aromas last time, and it's there again. Do you know what that smells like? I'll tell you exactly. If you can imagine chocolate, dark chocolate with mint, almost like a chocolate chip ice cream, mint chocolate chip ice cream. It really is big. Now, obviously, Star Anise, as the name would suggest, is a substitute for aniseed, but that to me is just mint. It's not aniseed at all. Aniseed's got a very distinct flavour. I'm sure I don't need to describe what aniseed tastes like and smells like to you, but this is more mint than anything else. So I'm wondering, is it just mint that they've put in here and some chocolate flavour? Who knows? But it looks very nice. I will say that it's dark. Now that to me looks like a classic old ale. As I said recently, I was in Hastings and I tried the Harvey's Old, which is an old ale, and that was on cask. It was absolutely gorgeous. Me and a mate of mine necked loads of it. It was absolutely gorgeous. So if you're in that locality or you're in a Harvey's pub and they've got that old on, I suggest you try it if this is your kind of thing, these dark beers. I mean, that does look really nice. And that is, yeah, that is almost like a porter. That's what it looks like. It's not a porter. They've got it down as a winter ale. So there you go. And again, it's just mainly mint chocolate chip with some slightly roasted malt notes, but they're very, very subtle. Be interesting to see what this tastes like at a slightly higher temperature than I did last time, because before it was quite chilled. Let's get it down the hatch. Bottoms up. It's lovely. It's really good. That's really nice. And the finish is quite big. There's definite roasted malt on here. And you could be forgiven for thinking that as a porter, because that roasted malt on the finish gives it a little bitterness to it. But the Star Anise is quite big in this. But it is coming across as slightly minty. I would say slightly minty, very minty. And they use Star Anise in toothpaste and mouthwash as well, the oil. So again, that's going to give you a little bit of an indication of the flavour. But I quite like it. It's not bad. It's very unique. Now, I have had a very nice milk chocolate stout. I have had a very nice milk stout from the White Hag Brewery. I know, yep, they're a craft brewer from Carlow in Ireland. But I do remember their mint chocolate chip. Was it mint chocolate chip porter or stout? I can't remember. But it was really nice. I think it was a milk stout. That was really nice. But it tasted like mint chocolate chip. Now, I fucking love that ice cream. If there's any ice cream I am going to eat, it's going to be mint chocolate chip. That is my favourite. This doesn't have that artificial flavour. You can tell this may have some invert sugar in it, but it just doesn't taste artificial. It's quite nice, but I can imagine some people may find that a bit off the wall, if you know what I mean. But I don't. I really like that. There's quite a lot of chocolate malt in there, and that's what comes across along with that minty flavour from the star anise and the aroma as well that's in there. I'm assuming they've used oil. I could be wrong, but I'm assuming it's oil that they've used, which is nothing unusual, because the hop extract obviously is used in beer, and somebody told me recently that in some of them dodgy Eastern European beers they use malt extract as well, and you just think, if you're going to use malt extract, fuck, why would you do that? But hey ho. Now, one thing I did notice from the last time I tried this is really full-bodied, to the point where I had one beer the last time I tried it, and that was this, and I didn't really want another beer after that, if you know what I mean. It's not one that you would session. It's 6%, so you shouldn't really be sessioning that anyway, but it's very, very rich. And it's a beer that I think you would probably have with a meal. Quite a rich meal, and that would be it. Because this is one of them beers that and they do come along occasionally. It's one of them beers where you have one. I definitely couldn't do two of these. It's that rich. It's that rich and that complex that you really wouldn't want to drink too many of these. It would get quite sickly, I'd imagine. But one is just fine with me. And it does remind me of what a winter warmer should be. Now, there is a twist on that, as I say, with the mintiness in it, but I like it. May not be for everyone, but that is a good pint of beer. So, what is the verdict on Santa's Tipple? Well, it's a beer that I am not sure everyone will like. The star anise that's in here is big, and it dominates, and overall it gives it a very minty flavour. Now, if you're not a fan of novelty style beers, which I'm not, to be fair, but I do fucking like mint chocolate chip. If you like mint chocolate chip, you're gonna like that. It's not as sweet, obviously, and it's a beer, but it's very full-bodied. It's one of them beers, as I just mentioned, that isn't really one that you would me personally, wouldn't want more than one, but that would do me if, for example, I was going around a relative's house on Christmas Day. Don't get me started on that. I fucking hate all that forced fun. Just, yeah, you can say fucking bar humbug and all that, you know, I do not care. Christmas doesn't mean fuck all to me. I don't know, yeah, I might be miserable. And I know kids love it. Did I like Christmas when I was a kid? Yes, of course I did. I wasn't born miserable. a lifetime of supporting West Ham and being perpetually fucking disappointed has probably done this to me. But I don't like the whole forced fun, the whole Jolly Holly thing. You know what I mean? Fuck that. Not interested. Do you know what? All these videos, I'm going to do a Christmas beer every day now, because I've got quite a few of them down there. I'm going to review one every day. It's going to be a rant about Christmas and how much I hate it. So suffice to say, if you like Christmas, and some of you may do, and I'm not knocking that. If you've got kids, then yeah, of course, they love it. And then moments you have your kids at Christmas are going to be priceless. You will cherish them forever, because they will not get any younger, and they will grow up as quick as you have grown up, believe me. And it will be no time at all before they're out the door. How do I know this? Well, I've sort of seen it with my stepdaughter. When I got with Lucy, she was 13, and now she's 21, and yeah, she's gone from being like a little child now to a fully grown adult, and yeah, it happens in a blink of an eye. It really does. So yeah, I'm not knocking people that like Christmas. If you like Christmas, then crack on. She loves it. She's enamoured with the whole thing. She's bought all decorations for the house. I think it's brilliant. I'm not going to tell her that, because every time she says, "What do you think now?" She calls me the Grinch. You know the Grinch? The Grinch just wanted to be left alone with his dog. Now, that sounds very appealing. Whether I'd want to be left alone with Percy or not is another thing, because his arse is rancid at the moment. I don't know what he's eating, but it smells like a dead animal is falling out of his arse. But there you go. That's what he does. What was I talking about? Yeah, Christmas beers. I'm going to be doing one every day now up until they run out, and then I've got some German Christmas beers that I'm going to be doing as well. So that's what you're going to be getting now when they run up to Christmas. Oh, the fucking joy. At least it's beer. But this stuff is not bad. I like it. It may not be for everyone, but it's good in my opinion. If you like mint chocolate chip, you're going to fucking love it. And that's going to get an 8 out of 10. I'm not going to give it more, because it's one of them beers that I can only drink one of them. But that 1 pint is very pleasant indeed. So I think 8 out of 10 is a fair mark. But these are a good brewery. They do good beer, and they've tried to stick to tradition with this. But the addition of the Star Anise, yeah, you can slag me off saying, well, that's something a craft brewer would do. It's not a traditional ingredient. Yeah, of course it is. And these are, you could argue, a craft brewer. But there's ways of doing craft beers, you know what I mean? Chucking them full of fucking American hops is, yeah, well, you know that. I'm not going to go down that road again. But I will say one thing, and I said it on the Great Newsom review as well. If ever you needed confirmation about the term IPA, I've got a Christmas IPA down there. What the fuck? Anyway, that's an 8 out of 10. That's a great brewery, and that is recommended. And remember, beer is working class champagne.